So like there's this scene in Family Guy. Like Peter's mad at somebody. I don't know if he's mad at Lois or what, but he he's he's got himself like completely like quarantined from the rest of the family, and he's sitting
Mhm.
in the kitchen eating his breakfast, and the entire family's around him talking to him, but they're like, "Dad, Dad." He can't hear you, and it shows him like sitting in like this glass box, and he goes,
I think I've seen this clip. Yeah.
he's trying to like claw out of it, and he just passes out. Yeah. So so now every time I think of like the universal face for flatulence, I
Passing
think
gas. Yeah.
Peter Griffin. I think of Peter Griffin. He's like, oh.
It perfectly encapsulates, no pun intended, all of the badness that comes with that part of the human experience.
Oh, that's great. We talk we talk man stuff on this channel.
That's right.
Um,
The things
James,
you need to know.
James, thank you for coming on. Really, really impromptu. Really impromptu video. I know I kind of sprung this on you at the last minute, but you being the trooper that
Hey,
you
no
are,
worries.
man, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I'm always happy to hear from you, and especially anything to do to help the channel.
How's everything going?
Doing well. We finished a nice circuit training this morning. So my circle that I work with at the gym, the guys I mentioned last time, Blake and Ray and Joe, we all got together this morning and did about 11 stations worth of circuits. So lower weight, higher rep. Needless to say, it was a wipeout. I think I got through about 8 rounds in the time it took them to do 10, but I'm working on it. I'm slowly getting there.
what uh, what were all the movements?
So we had regular bench press. We had rope pull downs and curls on the machine. Forgive me if I don't use the correct terminology, guys. I'm still, I think it's a little bit different at each gym you go to, but we had leg press, leg curls, leg extensions. We did some Romanian deadlifts. Again, just kind of focusing on the lower end of the weight, but making sure you could do at least 10 reps each time. I'm forgetting some of the other ones. I don't have my notebook with me, but it's always one of the killers for me, circuits, because you just underestimate how much oxygen your body needs. It's very similar to where we were at with the Metcon that we did together. Is that oh, okay, the movements by themselves are not so bad, but when you have to do them all back to back, and then there's no breaks really in between, you're just kind of like, I'm shuffling from point A to point B in this map, and I'm gonna hope that I can make it without passing out.
It's always the first two rounds too of anything like that. Like the first couple ones are like kill. You knock it out of the park, and then three and four, feeling kind of
Yeah.
juicy, but like we're getting there. And then like the later sets are just it's like SpongeBob trying to get oxygen in Sandy's dome.
Yeah,
But
that's right. Water. I
I
need
need,
it.
but you do need it. We need the
Yeah.
pain, baby. But well, that's
Well, and
good.
working through that soreness too, like, because we work out pretty consistently 5 days a week. So, like, working through the soreness you built up when you did an exercise and used that same group yesterday, and then you're using it again today. So you're like, all right, fine. I've been trying to work on my mental, lately. I'm real bad about being negative when it comes to them upping weights or upping reps. And I'm like, I'm barely getting through last round. But I'm glad they're there to push me. It does make me recognize, like we talked about last time, and you've mentioned several times in your videos, that your body will keep going long past the time your brain wants to give up. So I've just got to learn to be more positive in that aspect.
Speaking of your brain giving up, what time did y'all do that this morning?
We were in there a little bit later this morning. We started at 6 a.m. instead of our usual 5:30.
Just a little bit later on Saturday
Yeah,
morning. Yeah,
just nice sleeping
extra
in.
sleep. Yeah, that's hey, that little bit does go a long way though.
It
Like I
does.
do feel somewhat more refreshed when I do something like that. But Maybe
Oh
that's
yeah.
just me. I don't know. Some people say they feel worse.
Oh really?
I
I need
think
more
they're
sleep. I
psycho.
think sleep is one of the things that I don't do enough of. Uh, I get about 6.5 hours a night, and that's generous. And I know if I want to keep building and gaining, I probably need to get at least 8. But it's so hard to go to bed early. I just don't want to go to bed early.
Man, we're at the point where like we start trying to get everybody down by like by like 7:30.
Yeah.
And so if we got everybody down by 8:30, we're in bed, knocked out, smooth asleep. Like that's on the weekends, like when I'm not working, but
Hmm.
we're I don't know, like we've we value sleep in this household, or at least we value the quiet time, that
Yeah.
comes with everybody else being asleep, and we're just laying there doing nothing. But I got something I want to ask you about. Um,
Okay.
we hit a little bit on Glory Story, or episode one of Glory Stories. Just kind of talking about diet a little bit. We didn't really get
Mhm.
you know, too far into it, but there's one thing that came to mind uh, soon after we did that, and I'm like, oh man, I wish we could have talked about this a little bit more, just because it would have been an interesting conversation. Uh, but I'll give you the context too before I give you the subject of what we're talking about. I'm in like the middle of like this, not really the middle. It's more like the tail end of like this 30 days of, I don't even know. Really, it's just 30 programmed workouts is what I've been
Mhm.
calling it. It doesn't have a fancy name. 30 days of WODs, 30 days of misery, 30 days of something. But throughout this, I've noticed as I've gotten further along and I've made progress, uh, areas expected, to develop have come along, like aerobic capacity, muscular endurance, things like that. Like that's coming along. But one thing I failed to realize is the more I work, like the more I work out, the more I just have to smash food. And so I want I want to, for the next little bit, like I want to talk about like cravings and cravings and cheat meals. Um,
Yeah.
so if you know if you had like one meal that you could just eat every day, one meal that you could just like put down, and it might not be every meal every day, like one time a day. You just got that one favorite meal that you eat and your body wakes up to, or you know, you just get all excited about. What would that be for you?
Oh, brother, that's hard. I mean, again, growing up with a bit of a over reliance on food for comfort, that is a hard choice. So like my parents were up for this weekend, and they tend to eat out, and um, of course, because they want to spoil my daughter who's here. So they got pizza last night, and pizza is usually a weakness food for me. Um, I was very proud of myself. I did portion it out. I did count the calories on it, so that I didn't overindulge in that way. But for the longest time, pizza was like it was the easiest thing to trip me up when it came to eating healthy. Nowadays, I like it, but it's not as much of a temptation. I tend to have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I think like if I had to pick an overall like something I could eat every day, I'm cool with that. Like my wife is not, Morgan is not a person that wants to eat the same thing over and over again. I can be perfectly happy eating the same meal multiple days in a row, months in a row. I don't know if that's good or bad. But I think like breakfast is really one of my biggest weaknesses, like pancakes or waffles. Now I try to do protein versions of those, and they're not bad. But I mean, something about a stack of big fluffy pancakes, man, if I could eat those every day and not gain weight.
I assume you're more team pancake than you are team waffle.
No, I actually really like both. I really like waffles more probably, but just something about pancakes screams like this is overindulgent to me. I don't know why. Like, I guess just how many you can stack on top of each other.
Mhm. I'm definitely team waffle over team pancake. The syrup crevices,
Mhm.
that's the because then you get some of the whipped topping, whipped. Well, we are all with the
So
family.
many, so many Family Guy references.
Yeah. But it just the butter and the syrup, and
Yeah.
the crevice, that's what makes the waffle. I mean, pancakes are cool, but they soak everything up, and then I gotta like
Mhm.
drown them in syrup, and you know, what do I guess save some for the next guy. So, but yeah,
Yeah, couldn't be
dude,
more.
I totally get that. Like, if I was gonna smash something sweet, it would definitely be like in the breakfast department, pancake, which really outside outside. I mean, like I've had like crazy French toast before from like IHOP, and
Yeah. Hmm.
like and so like yeah, I get it. Um, do you so you being a kind of having a sweet tooth, like do you do you partake? And when you do partake, how do you feel when you do so?
So I think it's important to recognize that like how I choose to deal with my caloric intake is through counting calories. Not everybody likes to do that, and that's perfectly fine. What I like about that is that it allows me to have some of those indulgences from time to time, as long as I keep it constrained as far as how much, right? Portion control more than anything else. So I do tend to partake, but I try to take like protein based or like alternative forms of the sweets. So like
Mm.
Quest, for example, they make a lot of products that are sweet by nature, but not as bad on the sugar. Like I like a lot of protein bars and muffins and things like that. But don't even get me started on a good muffin, but I'll save that for later. My fascination with breakfast foods is far beyond just the pancakes and waffles, but yeah, so like I will try to get a sweet craving out of the way using some kind of like a alternative, basically like a sweet alternative that's healthier for me. But if the opportunity presents itself, I just want to make sure that I'm not going off the deep end. So for some people, that's easier said than done, right? Like when I first started my fitness journey, I didn't want any kind of like sugary foods, fattening foods. I wanted to make sure I set the precedent of like, I'm going to make this happen. But now that it's been pretty consistent, I can afford to go in and have that cheat meal. Like I don't feel bad about eating pizza yesterday with my parents as long as I, maintained my calories and I did activity and I made sure that I wasn't just eating mindlessly. I think eating in the moment is important. If you struggle with those kind of cravings, taking the opportunity to indulge a little bit to get what you need to satisfy that craving and just not letting it run amok.
Do you do you eat pretty much the same meals every day, give or take, or are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
basically. Breakfast is pretty consistent. I don't know if you want me to go into a lot of detail, but
oh, please do.
for breakfast, I have protein waffles that they've come out with at a couple different stores. So again, team waffle. Um, but I have
Black.
like two protein waffles, a protein shake before I go to the gym in the morning to try and like make sure that I have some energy to do what I need to do. And then, we're starting back to school here soon. So as I'm going through my college classes and teaching those, I usually have lunch at a certain same time of day. So lunch consists of like a salad, some grilled chicken, and then maybe like a bag of protein chips. And I might carry a protein bar like later on in the day if I think that I'm going to need that extra bit of energy. Dinner varies because Morgan tends to cook or I tend to cook. Um, but we just try to make sure that if whatever it is, I'm tracking calories or I'm creating a recipe for that in my app so that I can justify how much I'm getting. And I'm really more than anything looking at macros too. Like I want to make sure that I'm eating a majority of protein in my diet, that I'm still having some carbs, still having some fat, but that those ranges are in an appropriate level.
How many about how many calories do you take in a day right now?
About 2,300 to 2,600 is my good range that I want to be at. It's weird for me because like I'm still working out really heavy, or at least as much as I possibly can, and I want to see muscle growth, but I don't want to see a lot of extra fat gain. And that might be something you can elaborate more on because I haven't really dove that deeply into a cut versus a bulk. Um, but I know like I just don't want to let my range get too far out of control. That's what I noticed when I first started getting back into the gym at a year or two ago, is I was just eating whatever was around and I was just following whatever craving I had. There was no justifying why I was eating, and mostly it was out of boredom. So whenever I would eat and I wouldn't pay attention to my calories, I mean, I would just balloon up and I knew that I was going to gain a lot of weight. So I'm trying to be more mindful about it now, along with the workout program that I have. So I can expect when I start to cut back calories a little bit that I might lose a little bit of strength there in the beginning. But now that I've kind of gotten used to this calories that I'm on, I'm noticing it pick back up again.
Yeah, because you last time I saw you a few weeks ago. Um, your your overall body composition right now is 10 times different than it was when the last time I saw you. Whenever y'all first moved over to this area, um,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, just from upper body, you got a ridiculously good taper from your shoulders down to your waist.
Thank you.
You're no, yes, I'm checking your posterior and your hips and everything. Your legs look phenomenal, dude. And
Thank you.
like that diet that you've developed and your body's gotten used to at this point. I mean, it has done a great reconfiguration of your body composition. So now what you're able to do is you're able to focus a little bit more on muscular maturity, which is happening as well because like you took that gym selfie a couple days ago, maybe. I saw it
Yeah,
on
still
Instagram.
getting used to that.
Yeah, oh man. I that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time, but man, dude, walking around a gym with a camera and a tripod 3 years ago, not even 3 years ago, like a year
Yeah.
ago, I'd have been, dude, get that out of here, man. We're here to work, son. How the tables are turned. But yeah,
Yeah, it's a different mindset nowadays, which is fine. Like I think everybody should be proud of the work they're putting in. And I definitely like to see when, like friends of mine have made progress in the gym. You should definitely do that. It's weirder for me because I'm a little more self-conscious, and maybe everybody feels that way about that. Again, I think we all agreed last time when you're in the gym, you all have a little bit of an issue with things you want to change. So like whenever I post those photos, it's easy for me to be like, yep, here are the good progresses that I'm making. But in the back of my head, there's also like, well, there's still plenty of things to work on. You know?
well, that picture I saw incredible bicep definition. You got good separation in your bicep down to your tricep. That's coming along really good. Um, and that was really all that was displayed in the picture.
Yeah.
But good grief, man! I mean, the package that you have now, it's I mean, it's a testament to everything. Your diet, your regimen, just the way you're living your life right
Mhm.
now. If you got an extra 30 minutes of sleep, though, make a world of
Yeah.
difference. No, but
That's really
every
it. That's all I need.
everything's looking good, man. So you're doing all the right things.
Thank you.
Um, and then when it comes to you said a bulk versus a cut type of stuff. That's
Mhm.
just a calorie adjustment. Um,
Mm.
and the way that you go about, if you're trying to bulk, eat the carbs until they're coming out of your ears. Don't overload your protein. Keep your protein exactly where it's at right now,
Mhm.
because the protein's not really going to make it's just it when bulking, it's meant for tissue recovery, and that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
your other macros, predominantly your carbs, are gonna help you with the bulking process,
Mhm.
and then vice versa when it comes to the cut. Uh, the cut, you just kind of want to, you want to decrease your carb intake, and that's going to
Mhm.
help slim you down and shed a little bit of water weight as well. And it's a lot harder to do than in bulk. It's not near as tasty, but you know it's. But then you start getting into like a whole like a point of like diminishing returns as well, and it's just
Mhm.
being on a cut is a much harder road to be on than it being on a bulk. But being on a bulk, you get to have a little bit more freedom with cheat meals
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
Um, so you talk about having a sweet tooth. Do you tend to crave
Mhm.
more sugary things than fatty things?
Yeah, I mean it just kind of depends on where we're at, like the time of year. Um, I definitely notice as winter picks up, that like in winter I tend to start craving everything. Mostly sweet things for sure. Um, but like yeah, in the winter time, like as soon as it starts getting cold, I guess it's just the hibernation that lingers in our system where I just want to be like, all I want to do is eat, all I want to do is sleep. So I'm sure as we get closer and closer to that, my desire be to behave food wise will probably shrink. Because that's what happened last year. Like the temptation, I was doing really good up until about Christmas of last year, and then Christmas time was like, well, here's this party, here's this family gathering, here are all these sweet things you can indulge once, and I'm like, yeah, like once per month, not like once, not once every party we have. So it's a matter of balance, I guess. You definitely want to make sure you enjoy the food. I was watching a video the other day, and they were saying like, a lot of people just mindlessly eat, and so by the time it's done, you don't even realize that you've eaten that thing and you've wasted that opportunity to enjoy it. And instead, like if you're going to have something sweet, like take time to savor it, take time to make sure that you are present in the moment and then move on. By the way, I don't know if y'all can hear it. My dog is whining. I swear she's well kept, but she is put away for the video because she tends to want to get into every little thing. So I apologize. I know I can hear her, but I didn't know if y'all could hear it.
Things, man. So for like just so y'all know, like, hey, background looks different. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's the Glory Story logo in the background. Check that thing out. But uh we're sitting here, pardon the interruption, but we're sitting here doing this thing, and I get hit with like the temperature warning on my phone. It's like we can't do anything until it goes back to normal temperature in the middle of a recording. So I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell James. Can't send him a text, can't do anything, and he's sitting there in Zoom limbo right now, just waiting on me to come back. So, but we're back. We're back.
It's fine.
And better. Look at us.
Mhm.
We're on up in the world.
Out of this world.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm here all
Well,
week. Um,
where were we? We were rudely interrupted.
we're talking about cravings. You asked if I had a sweet or a like more savory cravings throughout the
Ah,
year, and
yes.
I just said that I think it really just depends on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But yeah, my recommendation for people, if you struggle with certain cravings, like sometimes those cravings can be necessary. So for example, like if you're craving something salty, odds are your body needs salt in some capacity. Um, like you're needing it for the electrolytes, or you're needing it for sodium potassium pumps or whatever that's going on in your body. So like it's important to listen to some of those from time to time. Your body may need a little more sodium or a little more potassium. So I don't think it's good to like completely cut off cravings, at least, for extended periods of time, because the more likely you are to do that, the more likely, at least in my case, that I am going to overly binge when the opportunity presents itself. So finding ways to mediate that is pretty important.
Now, there's where did I hear this? I can't remember. I heard somebody say one time like it's if you're gonna have a craving, it's better on your body to crave the savory, the fatty stuff.
Mhm.
There's more benefit out of it. um, as opposed to the sugary route. But at the same time, cravings do have a purpose though when it comes to what we do. Um, I've noticed, and this necessarily isn't like a cheat meal because I'm not a. I understand the idea of like a cheat meal while we have them,
Mhm.
like the purpose, like and the science behind it. Like I get it, but I also believe if you're having a craving for something, kind of like what you said a second ago, like there's a reason. Like you're not getting something that your body feels like it needs. Um, when I have a craving and I don't, and you start getting into like the being mentally tough and things like that. That that whole argument that people love to talk about. When I have a craving, I found that it's better for me to give into it. Not like do it to the point where I'm just like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Binging.
No, starts with a D. Um, hmm, I'm bad with words. But I found it's better to give into the craving because physically, like I come back the next day and I feel just like a tank compared to how I
Mhm.
felt the day before. And we're not physique competitors. You know,
Hey,
we're not doing any like our sports don't necessarily require us to uh be judged based off the way that we look, you know. So
mhm.
it's more so basically, but what you do is you eat for performance, right? Is that safe to say as well?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right? The goal is to try and condition my body to where food is not, um, it's not so uh designed to be like only fuel, but I think I need to shift my perspective to where food is fuel,
Mm,
as opposed to food being solely the source of like emotional comfort or because I'm bored or because it's available, which is a lot of what mine was growing up. Growing up, it was like, oh, I need this food to feel better. Oh, it's here, so I might as well eat it. Um, and now it's like I need to make sure that I'm providing enough protein for my muscles, that I'm providing enough carbs to do the workouts that I need to do, that I'm giving my body enough fats for all of the jobs that it needs to do. And knowing a lot more about science now helps me to justify what I eat and what I don't.
mhm. Um, you're Here's a scenario for you. Let's say you're traveling. You got a group of youth with you, and y'all are somewhere between Timbuktu and somewhere out yonder. Uh, y'all have to stop at a gas station. Do you go without the quality meal, or do you try your best to find something that maybe fits your macros a little bit more, or maybe fits what you're trying to do from a diet standpoint? Like, do you just do you do you eat even though it's not as good of quality as you are used to having, or do you just skip it and wait until you get to a place where you can have the quality?
Um, so for context, I work with a church and I'm the youth minister at that church. So that's why we have the traveling for youth. But yes, I mean, so for example, this came up this past weekend. We took some youth to a conference, a couple of towns over, about a 2 hour drive. Um, And yeah, I mean, we had to stop at the gas station, and thankfully, a lot of gas stations now like at least have the processed protein sources, right? Like Quest. That's what brand that's jumping in my mind right now, but like Pure Protein, there's sometimes of those. So there are options that you can have if you're just wanting like a protein bar or a protein shake. You can find those. I like to lean towards those. when I stop somewhere and just plan on eating a stronger meal later, or plan on like when I get to the place that I can eat something more substantial. But sometimes that option's just not there. So really you have to pick what you think is best in that moment. And again, I'm not an expert by any means. I enjoy the idea of nutrition, and I enjoy learning about what my body needs at any given point in time. Um, but because I count calories, that also gives me the leniency to be like, well, if I want to eat something here at this gas station, I just need to be able to find an appropriate caloric like number that works for that. And that's really hard because if it doesn't, like, I don't know what apps people will use for that. I'm using an app called Fat Secret. That's on the Apple Store. I've used MyFitnessPal before it was bought by Under Armour. And I know it does good things. Like there are plenty of apps out there that can track your calories, but trying to find the exact brand or like if it has a search or scan function, sometimes that can be really hard. So sometimes you have to guesstimate more than I would like when it comes to calories. But for me, I would buy what I knew to be calorically better, like a protein something that would probably have more protein and less carbs and fat. But if I, depending on the week, depending on what's going on, if we're like not stopping again, then I would try to find something that I thought was the healthiest option for me, whatever that might be at a gas station.
I can't tell you how many gas station meals I had to eat like when I was working
Oh, yeah.
in the collegiate setting. Um, I just got to the point where I would just skip something. Honestly, it's probably not the way to go, but
Yeah.
like if the options just weren't there, like I don't know, like I might grab a drink. Really what I do nowadays, which is
Mhm.
what I should have done back then. I grab as many waters as I can and I'm just putting them down. And I
And I read that somewhere too. Like somebody said, I wish I could remember all these sources to, again, Google us if we're wrong. We're not experts, so Google us. I mean, Zach has way more expertise than I do, but somebody said that like when you feel hungry, it could literally just be that your body needs water. That like so they were like, we recommend you drinking some water because number one, it fills you up, but number two, like so often people go dehydrated because they don't drink enough water. And so like drinking water before you eat, or at least like before you give in to whatever temptation you have going on is probably for the best.
well, so we're talking about cravings here, and we're talking about trying to fit cravings into diet, and you know, not not going overboard with some of the things that you eat when you do crave. Do you remember? Do you remember my He's gonna kill me for wanting to tell this, but do you remember my one of my roommates, Big Tommy?
The name sounds familiar, but if I would be honest and I can't picture in my head right now.
Let me
Oh no.
fill you in on Big Tommy. All right. So Tommy was every bit of 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", something like that.
Golly.
Yeah, and he was pushing. He was getting close to about 400 pounds. D lineman, well, he signed. So here's Tommy's story real quick, and he'd be great to have on here too because you'll laugh the entire episode. But uh, Big Tommy ended up signing with the Razorbacks out of high school. He went to Little Rock Mills growing up, and then he ended up going to, I think he graduated from JA Fair. But he ended up signing with the Razorbacks, tore his ACL his senior year. Uh, got an offer, I think, from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and something happened there, and he ended up coming to Henderson. And so I just see this gargantuan human. He's the biggest human being I've ever seen in person, you know, but he's like Stitch at heart, the big
Mhm.
goofball. Living with that guy, you think you know how to eat based off of like what your body needs and try being 6'9", 375 pounds. I mean, as an athlete, okay.
I was about to say, because it's not just like it's not like my 350 pounds where I had no muscle on me whatsoever when I was growing up. Like I mean, obviously he's put in the work to be a defensive lineman, right? So I mean, he's got a lot of muscle to fuel in the body like that.
Well, I can't tell you how many times like we would go like here was our routine on Mondays. Like so like on Mondays it was a walkthrough day for us basically. Like we come in, we'd have a team meeting, and then offense would go work out while defense did film, and then offense would go to film, and then defense would work out. And so we'd be done pretty early, 4:35, something like that. And we always watch wrestling on Monday nights. And so like we would go get food from like a Taco Bell or a Pizza Hut, and we'd smash while we watch wrestling. So Tommy's ability to like consume calories, it was ridiculous. Like it's the amount of calories this guy could eat just in a normal sitting, it's off the textbook. Like he's an anomaly to all things science, okay? Because like he has to put in enough calories to feel the need that he has. And he can't do it from eating just white rice and broccoli, like he's got to eat some calorically dense stuff. And so, a lot of times it's those higher calorie meals that you would get from restaurants. Tommy and I lived together for about 3 years. Okay. It's our senior year. And we're living in it was Whispering Oaks at the time. It's the apartment complex in over there on Henderson's campus. And Tommy's been studying for a final for 3 days at this point. I haven't seen him. Okay. And it's probably 6 o'clock, 7-ish, something like that. And I hear his bedroom door just slowly creak open. I'm in the living room and it just and he comes walking out and he's just like got his hands on his stomach and he's like, it's time to eat. And so him and I load up and we go to McDonald's and he's like that. I've been thinking about this meal for 3 days straight now, man. I'm ready. And so this poor girl, we go through the drive-through.
Oh no.
We go through the drive-through and he's sitting in the passenger seat and I roll my window down. And before she could even get out, welcome to McDonald's. Give me 100 chicken nuggets.
Oh my gosh.
Give me 100 chicken nuggets. And she's like, you want 5 20-piece McNuggets? I want 5 20-piece McNuggets, 2 double quarter pounders with cheese, add bacon, 2 large fries, 2 apple pies, and a large Dr. Pepper.
Oh. Whew.
And this guy, we get this food and we go back to our apartment. And it's a Monday and it's not football season, but it's a Monday, so wrestling's on. And so we're just sitting there watching like the last little bit of Raw. And I'm watching Tommy just slowly, bit by bit, consuming just 1 nugget, 2 nugget, 3 nugget, and he's just slowly putting this food away. He eats all this in one sitting. And I'm not gonna tell you what the total was either, because I don't want to get it wrong.
No.
It was somewhere in like the 70-80 range. Like it was ridiculous. And he puts all this food down. It takes him about 3 hours to eat this entire meal. I don't even know what the calorie like you can plug it in and see like what the calories were for this meal. He puts all this down and like I mean he's just sitting on the couch and like he drinks the last little bit of his Dr. Pepper. Like you can hear like the straw like sucking up like the last little bit of the liquid, and he shakes it, like you hear the ice in the cup. And then he puts it on the table and he just kind of lays back on the couch, like, oh, so satisfied. And then it hits him. Just that ice, just, oh. And so, like, I'm over here trying to, like, coddle, like, this large human being.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. That'd have been great.
I'm like, Tommy, what do you need me to do, man? He's like, oh, just push me on the floor. And so like I roll him off and it sounded we're living on like the third floor. So we we yeah, you can imagine like what that sounded like. You roll him off the couch and doosh. And at this point it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And he's just laying on this floor, just holding his stomach, and that's what you do, right? Like Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
after you just,
as one does. Yeah.
yeah, you lay on the floor and let the hard surface of the floor like push your stomach back up and it helps with the digestion process. So he's laying there and I'm like, dude, what time's your final tomorrow? And he's like, 8 in the morning. Oh my. So, but he's like, I ain't moving. You just leave me right here. Okay. So
Okay.
I, I go to bed. I'll wake up maybe like 1 or 2 in the morning to get like something to drink. He's still laying there on the floor, just moaning, just
Oh no.
and so he I get up 6 in the morning or so. I'm about to go work out. I don't remember if I had a final that day, but I'm about to go work out, and he's still laying on the floor, past
Oh
smooth,
no.
snoring like a bear, man. Just, and I've never in my life seen somebody eat so much. But later on, I asked him, I'm like, dude, did you not eat while you were studying for that test? And you better, you better pass that final. Like
For
there's no
real.
way you could have went through all that and like not pass that test. And he's like, yeah, I passed, but no, man, I didn't eat for like 3 days straight. I had to study for that thing. And so like,
Holy smokes.
yeah, he starved himself studying for that. I think it was like a trig test, which I mean, yeah, I'd have to study for.
Understandable. Understandable. Yeah.
Like he ended up passing, he said, but I'm just like I, I couldn't imagine going 3 days not eating because you're so locked in, like you feel like you have to put that
Mhm.
level of intensity into what you're doing. And like he's like, well, the first day I just forgot to eat. Time went by so much, I just forgot to eat. And I mean, he was a big juice drinker too, and so like I'm sure he
Ah,
consumed like a couple, things of juice, but
right.
he was no, he didn't do it. So like second day, nothing. Third day is when he crept out of his room and he put the beat down on some McDonald's. But yeah, so you talk about cravings. Cravings can be strong depending on the person, and
Oh, for sure.
I just think to myself too, like I couldn't imagine being so hungry that is what I put myself through. But I'm also not 6'9". I'm 5'6". I'm a midget.
Oh yeah. I mean, it definitely goes to show that like everybody has different caloric needs, right? I mean, again, somebody who's that physically dense and especially athletes, like again, I never had the privilege of doing that during school. Like it wasn't something for me, but like somebody who is working out constantly, exerting a lot of physical effort, I mean, they're going to need a much more caloric dense meal, like you said, than somebody who's not doing anything. Like that was my problem. I was eating way too many calories as a kid and did not need them. Like did not have the energy to do anything with them. And so therefore my body stored them as fat. I've only tried, like you mentioning, not eating for 3 days. I tried fasting once, and it also links up because it was the same week as finals during one of my college semesters. A friend of mine had tried it. We were like, reading about it in scripture, and we were like, let's do fasting. So we did like a juice fast or like a water fast. And I made it for like 5 days, and I was just so tired. And my buddy was like, "You have finals next week. What are you doing? Like you need to be taking energy so you can go past your classes." Which I mean, thankfully it was fine, but I remember just doing that and being like, yeah, no, there's no way. Like people like forgetting to eat. I'm sorry, that's not happening to me. If anything, I might forget to eat like good food for me, but I'm going to eat something. So yeah, just it's astounding to me. I look at like any college athlete, again, even some of these high school athletes that I've taught. are spending so many calories and energy on what they're having to do. So kudos to those people who can eat and need to eat that much, but I have to rein myself back in. I'm not doing that much work. That's
Uh,
so much food. I couldn't even imagine eating that much food.
oh, dude, me, Henry, Tommy, and another buddy of ours named Andre Mikhail Lukaci.
Ooh,
All these guys are like over 6 foot tall, like potential NFL athletes. And then here's me, just like this, this genetically deficient human being compared to them.
no.
And so I can't tell you how many times we've like shut down uh Chinese buffets and like Waffle Houses and like just put the hurt on these places. And I couldn't even eat, like I would eat like 2 plates of Chinese and just be done. And they're over there just like still shoveling in rice. Like they got like dedicated plates for like one thing of rice, wontons, chicken of all kinds, like they know how to do it. So yeah, these gargantuan human beings, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to be one of them, but
Now, buffets I've had to swear off for a time because there was another time in college where I went to a buffet. Like we had typically in these college towns, I went to school at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia, and there was a Chinese restaurant there in town that we would go to as a group several times. And I got sick. Like I just overate each and every time I would be there. And so finally, after like the third time, it took me 3 times of getting sick to be like, you know what, I'm done. I swear this off. And now I'm a lot better because I just try to get one plate. I know that's the opposite of what you should be doing at a buffet, but I have to set that limit on myself to be like, I'm getting one plate. If there's something I really want more of, like if there's something, especially a protein that I really want more of, I have no problem doing that. But yeah, they were like the rice, the noodles, the veggies that are just covered and stuff. I'm like, nope, can't do it. I have to set my own boundaries. And I guess that's my best advice. Like when it comes to all of this stuff, like if you're an active person, if you're trying to better your health, if you're trying to better your nutrition, if you're, putting effort into the gym, you have to eat something. You have to fuel your body with something. But just try to make the best choices you can. Try to look at what your needs are. So, and you can use apps, you can talk with your doctor, a nutritionist. I mean, there are several times. I mean, I know when I was working out with you in Arkadelphia, you helped me write a meal plan to be able to kind of identify what nutritions were what I needed. And I really used that back in the day. I don't have it now, sadly, but I really used that a lot to kind of give me a basis of what I'm looking for.
that was one of the strictest diets I've ever seen. Like that. Did I say
That's a
strict?
lot.
I meant
Yeah.
restrict. Like,
Both. It was both.
dude, I can regurgitate all this real quick for you. You wake up, your
Yes, I can.
first
Hold on.
meal. You wake up, your first meal is a protein shake, Phase 8 from Muscle Tech. Um, and it was probably, if I remember correctly, might have been a bowl of oatmeal. No,
Yeah. I think oatmeal was definitely on the list.
and then in between meals, you're smashing coffee. I think I gave you one snack, which was a Cliff Bar. Uh, yeah. And then for
Definitely was.
lunch, your lunch was probably something along the lines of tilapia and rice.
Yep.
That was
Shrimp every once in a while. I could use
yeah.
shrimp too, but
And then in between, like that would be like your pre-workout meal. Um, you get off of work and then you come work out. You might have had some coffee in between, lunch and the workout.
I do love coffee. Yeah.
But the coffee acted as like an appetite suppressor too.
Yeah.
That was the goal for that was just to kind of make sure like okay, you're not going to be eating as much. Like I think we were doing like half a cup of rice and maybe like 8 ounces of tilapia or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is not very much. And tilapia being just like a super, I mean, there's no fat, period.
Yeah.
It is a white flaky fish. You can get, but see, the good thing about tilapia though is you can get more grams of protein um, in a much smaller amount than you, so you could eat more of that and get more out of it. But at the same time, dude, it just goes right through you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you work out, and then your last meal, you know, your dirty meal, which really wasn't like dirty. It was something along the lines of what lunch was, just a little bit more of it. So
Yep.
white rice, maybe a cup this time, somewhere around the ballpark of 10 ounces of fish, 10 ounces of some kind of meat. And then your last meal of the day was another protein shake before bed. So,
Yep. Sounds about right.
and then your Sundays was your cheat meal. And I just remember the days of Slim and Shorties, you know, you
So good.
got, I mean, a lot of times you would try to stay pretty true to what the diet even like said. Like, I mean, like if you didn't want to like stray off the course. So like you would get tilapia at a restaurant, you know, and sweet potato fries, or you would get something that was still pretty much in accordance with what we had programmed for you. You didn't take the liberty to indulge like oh, and pineapple juice. That was the
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
yeah, the anti-inflammatory that we took once a week. Yeah,
Well,
we're
again, I just know myself. I know like I just have a tendency pretty much in everything that I do, I become obsessive. So like, it even in things that I liked as a kid and I still like now, like I'm a big fan of Pokemon, and there will be months where I'm like really, really invested in playing Pokemon. And then that fad will kind of leave and I'll go back into something else, like the Harry Potter series or Power Rangers or whatever. Like I love all of these different fandoms, but they rotate in and out for me because I get so obsessed about them for a very select amount of time.
that
So I know that if I'm not careful, I'll just dive deep into whatever I'm eating and not think about, oh, I need to pace myself, or oh, I need to go back into this caloric range. So I guess I obsess over the opposite of like staying on track.
well, you brought up a good point, and I actually said, this is something I kind of wanted to hit on a little bit before we, you know, because obviously the diet and the cravings and all that stuff like that was really what was on my mind. But you brought up a very interesting point. Are we crazy for wanting to like do all this stuff? Like, is there something like seriously wrong with us? Um,
I mean, now may not be the time to get into that, but no, I mean, I think you kind of have to be. I think in order to really like improve ourselves and do what we want to do, you have to be a little crazy to be able to devote this much time to it. Again, the guys that I work out with, they are much more dedicated than me to pushing the boundaries of where they're at. They want to see their strength increase. They want to see the gains. And I'm just like, I'm just here to survive. Like I'm trying really hard to get back into a routine of like, I want to push myself. But something else I saw today online, because I try to surround myself with people who are wanting to better themselves too, is it talked about motivation. And it was like, some days you are completely motivated to go to the gym and do what you need to do. And you use that, right? You're excited, you're geared up, you're ready to go. Other days you're running on fumes, and you got to use your dedication at that point when motivation runs dry. And so I think like, yeah, there's part of us that's crazy to subject ourselves to early morning workouts. I mean, you talked about in your 12-hour shift on some of your last few videos, going to the gym afterwards. Man, that is dedication that I do not have. Like,
I did.
I mean,
I
I
had
enjoy getting up to go early, but I don't enjoy doing that. So, I mean, I respect you a lot for doing that.
well,
Um,
I had one yesterday, and I had programmed like a 30-minute AMRAP for after I got done with work. And it was a couplet. That's all it was. Supposed to be like a bear crawl for 50 meters, and then a bear complex for like 7 reps at like 95 pounds. I got to the gym yesterday, and it was a quarter till midnight. And I walked up to the door, and I just looked inside, and I said, "Nope, not doing it." Uh, like I said,
so close.
uh, I'm over here talking about like dedication, like, oh, I love this stuff. And then like the next workout, nah, I'm good. So like I deprogrammed the whole 30-minute NRAP. And this morning I did a 30-minute run instead. I
Okay.
programmed that as well. Or I programmed that one instead. Dude, I got up at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock this morning
Yep.
and went and got some gas and then got a bang and then pounded that, came back, and I did a 30-minute run, and my goal was to try to get a minimum of 3 miles in 30 minutes. So
Mhm.
close. So close.
I'm so sorry.
2.9. But um
Hey, that's pretty great. That rounds up to about what you want to be.
yeah, I did a 5K on the 4th at
Hmm.
like 24 minutes,
Nice.
and that was 3.2. But this I just I needed just move. And so like there were a couple parts where I said I'm gonna walk 50 meters, and I'm gonna run a 400. I'm gonna walk 20 and I'm gonna run a 200, and I just might, I if I got 3 miles, I got 3 miles, but
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
Well, it's like you said. I mean, it's a you gotta your body's on very different places on different days, right? I mean, doing a 5K, knowing you're gonna do a 5K, and then like going to what you needed today was different than what you had that day.
oh, no
So
clue.
I mean, you can still be dedicated and make changes. Like you can still be dedicated and say, today my body is not feeling like doing this. I need an extra rest day. As long as we just don't, again, I guess it's very similar to the cravings thing. As long as you don't just say, well, I'm going to take a rest day, and then it turns into 2 rest days and 3 rest days, and then it's a rest week, and then it's a rest month. Like that's easy to do.
That's when he falls the tracks right there.
Yeah.
Big time. And that's eventually what led to me taking like 6 months off, because like I would get into like, okay, I'm gonna train, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna be dedicated. I would this when I was doing just pretty much like bodybuilding stuff. Like I'll do arms, I do back, I do chest, and I'm like, okay, here comes legs. And I know the amount of weight that I'm gonna have to push. And so like I'm gonna take a day off, really fuel the body up, and we'll get into it. And then the program leg day rolls around, and it's like I got things I got to do, and then like, oh, I'll get it the next day. Tomorrow Saturday we should be good. Sleep, yeah. And so uh that's also why I think the whole functional fitness, you know, methodology is what's best for me, is because like bodybuilding, there was no end goal. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
quantifiable. There was nothing like there was really no progress to track other than like the mirror, what I saw in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't good for me. Mentally, it's not good. And so, now that I'm able to time everything, or like track stuff, and everything's a test basically. Um, I do much better with seeing that and knowing that I'm progressing.
Yeah.
Um,
And you really have to have that conversation with yourself too. Like, we talked about last time we got the chat that why we do what we do. We mentioned like, wanting to set a good example for our kids, wanting to be here longer for our kids. Like it's important to have those reasons why in your fitness journey. But at the same time, like I'm doing this for me too, right? Like I want to continue to see progress. I want to continue to be more physically fit. And yes, I want to do it for my wife and for my children. Like I want it to be something that keeps me here for a long time. But at the same time, if I don't have that agreement with myself of like, hey, we're going to make this work. Like there have been times where I've woken up and I'm like, I do not feel like going to the gym today. But then I realize that I have people who are waiting on me to be there. And that's really helpful with my group of friends, is just like I know they're going to hold me accountable, whether I want to be accountable or not. Um, and so, sometimes my wife, being supportive, will be like, why don't you take a rest day? And I'm like, that's not an option today, but it may be an option later on. Also, I know with like all the youth activities that we have going on, with my job, I know there will be days, like you said, where you physically are not going to be able to do that, that you're going to have things that really do prevent you from getting to the gym. And that's okay. But again, having that agreement with myself where I'm like, if we skip today, we're going to be in there tomorrow. If we skip this time, we are going to make it up some other time. Um, and I guess that's where the crazy part comes in. Because number one, I'm having these conversations with myself. But
And I'm
number
answering
two,
myself.
yeah, I'm completely 100% on board. But also just like the expectations are crazy when you look at, what we're expected to do for these workouts. Like, yeah, to somebody else, like before I started lifting, there was no way that I thought I could lift any of these weights. And I'm glad that now I can keep track in my notebook and I see the data of like, well, I did this a month ago and I was able to lift this much and now I can lift this much. And it may not be a huge amount, but it's progress. And so, like you said, seeing progress helps. Doing stuff that you find beneficial and practical to you is helpful. If you're going into the gym and you're just trying to reach for unattainable things, that's going to be really hard to keep motivated. If you're setting a really low calorie goal for yourself and you're trying to stay within that, that may be very difficult to reach just starting out. Like you might have to set a more realistic goal first and make some of these stretch goals that you can keep going to later on. But all of these things are people have to deal with all the time. Like it's not just you and me, it's anybody that's working with bettering themselves. There's all these different temptations and goals that people have to meet.
Well, I think I kind of got a I got a look just now
Oh
from
no.
one of the windows inside. Right. But
Yep, time to go.
yeah. But I'm still playing.
I'm talking to my friend.
I said I'll be done in a minute. Gosh. Yeah.
No, can't keep him waiting.
Oh no. No. This is like my first like true day off too, and I don't know how long. So I'm just like,
Nice.
I need to I need to go watch Lilo and Stitch for a third time today and sit by.
Yes.
But man, James, it's always good hearing from you, talking with you. And again, I appreciate you just getting on here really short notice, man. That was you got to adjust, and you're always down. You are always the best at like, you know, being down for whatever, even if it is doing
Yep.
doing a bro chat or climbing in a dumpster. Like you're always.
Well, again, you got to be willing to stretch, like you think you can't lift a certain weight in the gym, you got to be willing to at least try. You may find out you can't, but I mean at least then you know for sure, right? So I'm always down to help, man. And I think again, the content you're making is always good. It's good to be able to look at somebody online who's really trying to push themselves and challenge themselves. I think you're doing that in a great way.
I appreciate it. Unfortunately, the work's never done.
Yep.
So
Never at all.
after I get these 30 days knocked out, I'm not really. I think I'm going to focus more on like just my Olympic lifting. I'm still going to do like I'll
Yeah.
do metcons, but like they're going to be they're going to be more like shorter metcons.
Hmm.
Single movements, couplets, triplets, no more than that. I need to get my Olympic numbers back up. So I think that's what I'm going to do from once I get these 30 days squared away. However, that's just minutia detail. What y'all got anything planned for the rest of the day? Y'all gonna do
Oh
anything?
man, we are putting stuff together for our church is doing promotion Sunday tomorrow. So all the kids who are getting ready to go back to school, as much as they don't like it, we're going to honor them tomorrow and kind of talk about them going into different grades and all of the teachers that work with our church. So we're just super busy getting all that together today, but it'll be worth it. The kids will have a great time.
I'm I'm gonna check out of here, man. It's always good hearing from you. And then, oh, hey, don't think I forgot about this. Y'all watching? We might have a full day of eating episode planned here in the near future. Not why I wanted to have this conversation today, but yeah, we might have a full day of eating episode planned for the near future. So keep your antennas up for that. But James, I'm gonna get off here. It's good having you, bud. We'll catch you next time.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you having me on.